Welcome to collegesoccernews.com. Adam Zundel here with Coastal Carolina coach Shaun Docking. Coach, how are you? Thank you for taking some time with us today.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Adam. Appreciate having me on. Thank you.
Great. Well, tell me a little bit about your team's very, very solid start, 3-0-1 against some really good competition. If you could, just take us through the first couple of weekends and then, into this weekend with the game the other day with the draw against Clemson.
Yeah, well, I think, obviously we've tried to put some things in place, in the spring with the existing group. And then with the new group that we had come in throughout pre-season, we've tried to get them caught up to speed in terms of what we're trying to do, in terms of style of play and the culture that we're trying to create. And with so many new guys, because we had 11 seniors last year, and so many new guys this year that we've added to the group, and losing so much in terms of our depth, our leadership, just real experience that we had from last year. So we had a lot of missing pieces going into pre-season. It surprised me how well the results have gone. This early in the season, because I was really scared, to be quite honest, about the schedule and heading into pre-season. It's just taken me by surprise, really, to be honest. In terms of the results, I think the playing performance has got to be a lot better. We're playing well, we're getting results, but we've still got so much to work on in terms of where I think this group could be. So, and I think every game we've had, we've just looked at, okay, this is who you're playing. What can we do in terms of how we can get better, and using it as a test and a guide to where we're at in terms of our group. And we haven't focused on the result. I mean, obviously we tried to win the game, of course, but the results and the record, it is what it is. It's going to finish where it's finishing. So we just tried to really use each game as a test, and figure out, okay, how can we become a lot better. And I think it started in pre-season, because we played Wilmington in pre-season and Chapel Hill, and they were two really, really good games for us. We lost both of them, and it just really exposed us in a lot of areas that we needed to grow in. And I think that helped to prepare us for that opening weekend, for sure.
Is it a little bit of an ignorance is bliss kind of thing with your guys? And you talk about the exhibition games, which I think is really interesting, because a lot of people will look at your schedule and just kind of toss those results away. Oh, you went to, you lost to North Carolina 2-0, no big deal. But you guys, it sounds like it took a lot away to really get you ready for that first, 3 or 4 games.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Wilmington, I think as the season unfolds, I think they're going to be very good. I was very impressed with them. I thought they had a good team, and they deserved to win the game on the day. We tried to win the game, so it was. We looked at that game. We looked at 4 or 5 days of the preseason we'd had at that point, and we said, okay, what do we need to continue to get better? In what areas? How do we grow? What combinations of players are we going to use? And then Chapel Hill was very similar. It was a tight game, until the last 15, 20 minutes or so, and they deserved to win it again. So we just really tried to look at ourselves. We played Clemson the other night, and we needed to be better in that game in a lot of areas. So we take away where we need to be better, and we talk a lot about the process of how can we grow and get better each day in practice, each week, and the results will kind of fall where they will. I think what you've got to do is to be able to play a lot of different ways. I think you've got to individually develop the players. I think you have to prepare them to play different formations, and play different styles, and also managing the game. How do you play 1-0 up, 1-0 down, tied ball game? How do you play golden goal? So, these are all things that we try to grow our players in those areas.
You had to have grown the other night trailing in that Clemson game, and finding some resolve. Good to see from your young team, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was a very good result. I think they're an excellent team. I think they're well deserved their top 10 ranking, and I think they could have a deep run in the tournament this year. So, for us to go on the road and kind of fight them head to toe, toe to toe, so to speak, compete with them. I thought it was good. I thought on the night they were the better team. I think we learned a lot from that game. And I think it's going to help us moving forward and where we are and what we need to do to get better.
Let's talk a little bit about that moving forward aspect of it. How important are these opening season games, for your schedule, for your RPI, for your chances when it comes selection time? How important is it, and how difficult is it to go right into the fire against some of these top teams?
Yeah, I mean it's very difficult. I think we try to put the toughest schedule we can together each year. Not just RPI wise, but I think in terms of the player development process, you want to be able to build through the season, and you just want to become the best you can be each year. So I think you have to play very, very good teams. I think across the country, most of the conference scheduling is done in the last half of the season. Mm-hmm. So we've got 9 conference games in October, September, October, November time. So we don't have a lot of time to add in a lot of out-of-conference games. So we do obviously have a lot more room at the start of the year. So that does create some issues in terms of you've got to be ready from the start. You have to be able to pace yourself through the season. You've got to be very good at the start of the season. You've also got to be very good at the end of the season. So, it creates so many issues. You don't have the time that you would like just to ease into the season, perhaps. On the flip side of that, I think there's a lot of positives because straight away you find out where you're at. You find out what kind of group you've got. So, I think it's very positive. You're playing the best teams you can play. So we enjoy it. Yeah, it's fun.
All right, a couple of your guys have been recognized by College Soccer News, Miguel Gutierrez and Fernando Pena. Tell me a little bit about those guys on the defensive side of the ball and how they've kind of solidified things for you back there.
Yeah, I mean, we're obviously very pleased to have both the guys. I think we've got a lot of good players that are deserving of a lot of credit. But I think with Fernando, he got so much experience. The U17 under 20 level, playing for his country, playing in the World Cup, and he played at Akron and transferred there, or from there rather. So we're fortunate to have him here. I think he's still he hasn't played in a year and a half, so he's now starting to get back in the swing of things, and it's taken him a little bit of time to get adjusted to the speed and pace again after being off for so long, but he's doing well. He's got a great kid, very good leader, and he's a soccer player that plays in goal, so we're very fortunate where we can play out the back, and he's a very skillful player, and he's got very savvy player, which I think adds to the experience. With Miguel, first-year player from out of Spain, and done very well. Obviously he's starting for us as a first-year guy, which is very difficult to do at a lot of top 20, top 25 programs, and so he's been great, good revelation for us, and he's a very multi-purpose utility guy. He can play in the back, he can play in midfield, he can play outside. So he scored a goal the other night against Charlotte, and so he can play a lot of different roles for us.
Obviously, you guys aren't flying under the radar. You're top 10 this week. You've been ranked, for years, 5 straight NCAA tournament appearances. I could go on and on. But how important is it to you personally to make a really deep and significant run in the NCAA tournament like we've seen some of the other quote-unquote smaller programs in terms of UMBC and things like that? How important is it to you personally to get there, and where do you think you are in that chase, if you want to call it that?
I mean, I don't think, I think if you asked Pete Caringi last year, this time of the year, you're going to make the Final Four. I mean, you can't predict. I think what you have to do is move the process along as quick as you can, the best way you can. You don't want to skip any steps. You've got to build the principles of the game with all your first year guys and grow that during their time here, and hopefully through that process you're going to be able to turn that into some results. I think the biggest thing for any team, any college team across the country, is that your RPI at the end of the year has to be a good one, so that you can get a top 16 seed. And if you get that top 16 seed, that now helps you play fewer games. The games you're playing are all at home, and you've got a slightly easier run, perhaps, to the Final Four. I think for us, if we can turn that corner, I think that would be a big step in the right direction. UMBC did it on the road last year. Every game they played, I think, was on the road against every team in our region, which is an incredibly difficult region, up and down the East Coast here. So they didn't do it the easy way at all. Charlotte did it a couple of years ago, didn't they? In 2011, beat some very, very good teams as well. So it can be done, but it's incredibly difficult. And I think the other piece too is you've got to be sharp at that time of year too. So through conference play, out of conference play, you've got to figure out how to continually get good and stay sharp so that you're ready then to compete against the best teams in the country.
Big news down there, obviously the change in conference affiliation. Tell me a bit about that, how that impacts you and your program.
It doesn't impact us too much. I think it gives us 4 less games in the conference, and now we have the ability maybe to control our RPI a little bit more. So we still have 6 teams, automatic bid, so that's good. And I think also, for our program now and our university, and we're now a 1A football school. So I
American
think
football school.
now, exactly. Yes. American football. Yeah. So we've now in a real market, and I think facility-wise now, maybe there's some things that we can kind of piggyback off in terms of football and some of the things that the university wants to do. So we're excited about that next step for our program as the university ties in, our facility and improving that, which I think then obviously is going to help with recruiting and the perception of our program, and and in terms of other budgetary things as well. So we're excited about the move. Yeah.
All right, tell me a little bit about the last question. How a guy from across the pond is enjoying living in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, for the last 20 so years.
Yeah, it's incredibly difficult. I came to school in Akron, Ohio.
Uh-huh.
So no dig to Jared and the guys up there, and I loved every minute of it. But if I knew I had a choice between Myrtle Beach or Akron, Ohio, I don't think it would have been too difficult a decision. Yeah.
I'm going to guess that's line 1 in recruiting overseas.
Yeah. We definitely make sure they know where we're at. Yeah.
All right, Coach Shaun Docking from Coastal Carolina. Appreciate it so much. Best of luck the rest of the way.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Adam. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.